Episode 10, Season 2 of Behind the Seams, presented by Standard Issue. Welcome back. There's the laugh. Well,
That's the wrong person from the nightclub, man.
no, I know. No, I know.
I'm not that guy.
No, I know.
You thought I was Chris.
No. I'm trying to be Chris.
Okay, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Episode 10, though. So when I'm digging through my Rolodex, scrolling through my phone, obviously I want to invite people on that, can provide, new insight to the conversation, new info. I got to see what's the relationship to the brand, just personal relationship too, to kind of see how the conversation is going to flow. And when I dug deep for today's guest, I just was like, man, you know what? I just want somebody on that I can just fucking kick back and like nerd out with, And so the guest that is on this episode, fortunately over the years we've gotten to travel the world together and to get to know one another. But we go back, and my roots and my flag planted in the city of Los Angeles. He helped put that stake in the ground with me. On the west side, not so much grass, more beachy vibes.
Definitely beachy vibes.
West side vibes.
Yep.
Eating fat burger.
Wahoos.
Wahoos. He has arguably one of the best tre-flips in skateboarding history. He has hands down the best trick ever done at the Santa Monica courthouse. And he is my near and dear friend, Mr. Kelly Hart.
Wow, Jimmy, thank you for that. That made me
welcome.
Made me blush, dude. Nah. No, I'm hyped to be here. Thanks for hitting me up, man.
Nah, thank you so much, man. I know. This is probably long overdue.
It's cool. Like when you said you're like, I just want to like rap out and like just talk. I'm like, that's exactly what I love to do.
Yeah.
And so me and you do this on a regular basis anyway.
Yeah.
I love it too. So for people that don't know, if Jimmy calls you, Jimmy starts off a conversation like was still talking to you from the last time.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't say, "Yo, what up, dude?" Blah blah. He's like, "Hey, Kelly, what happened that one time?" But
every time,
every time, and I love it. And it's like straight into the conversation, and it's like going back to old times, or stuff that. Because me and Jimmy are from like the same generation, but from the different sides of the country. And I think we love the same type of skateboarding from both sides, and anywhere in between, really.
Yeah.
But I think the East and the West Coast were like super heavy, obviously, for skateboarding growing up. So, it was cool. I met you,
Chris Roberts
and Robbie. That was the crew, and then the Barrett Loose.
Yeah.
I kind of slowly came in to skate with them. Robbie was originally the one that I was skating for Sugar Sports.
Oh, you were skating for Sugar back
then,
huh?
I was skate with Marco. So I come skate with Marco and then go skate with those dudes. And then Marco introduced me to Robbie and Chris.
Yeah.
And they were just around. And I was like, oh my God, I was the same way you probably were. We're like, those dudes were on Girl and Chocolate.
Yeah. They're still our legends.
Yeah. So that's where me and Jimmy met. He came out.
Yeah.
And German would come out too.
German too, yeah.
That would be tight. And then we would just skate. And it was funny. You hit me up this weekend. So I was like, I told you that whole Microsoft thing at the airport messed me up. So I was off my phone for a minute. But it was cool to see you go to Venice and look at the Gap and show your daughter.
Yeah. It was a trip too, because the very next day, my old ass looks at Facebook memories. And literally, as we're walking up to the not to the sand gaps, to where the skate park is, in that circle, there used to be like a little pizza shop or something. And I was saying to Amelia and to Dev, I was like, man, I remember bringing Amelia here with her old board, and we sat and got pizza here. And literally the very next day, it said 7 years ago, was the day that I took her to Venice. So she was 5 at that point. So I was like, damn, what a weird coincidence.
Yeah, it's amazing. I trip out. You always can find those points back in the day.
Oh
like,
man,
yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
I mean that was our crew back then. It was like if I came to Los Angeles, I stayed with Robbie McKinley and Chris Roberts, who were roommates, but arguably two of the most popular skateboarders at the time, and especially for us on the East Coast, was like they skated for Girl and Chocolate, so it was like they were legends, you know.
Yeah.
And that company, I just went ham on the Girl and Chocolate website the other day buying shit. 'Cause I was like, that's how much that brand will always mean to me, and those guys were a part of it, and the fact that they welcomed me in, and then meet their extended crew, which is you, Yoon, Daniel Castillo, York, Dempsey.
You know, I saw Dirty Dan last night.
Dirty
dude.
Dan, yeah.
I saw him
Dan
last
Rhodes.
night randomly.
Dirty Dan is the man. Danny is a designer for
Vans.
not Vans anymore. It's
Oh.
a snowboard brand now. That thing is based from the West Side. Why am I drawing a blank? I want to say it starts with a O. You know the brand.
I'm not too. If I heard it, probably I'm not too familiar with snowboarding.
But
stuff.
yeah, no, I mean, but it was just a whole crew of like, and his guy like Dan. I would see Dan in like the 411s and stuff.
He lived with Robbie and Chris too.
Yeah. Dan, yeah.
He was the third roommate.
Yeah.
And then Mike York moved in there at one point. York.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's crazy, dude.
So so how does it feel right now? Obviously, you're part of an amazing show called The 9 Club. How does it feel now that you're a guest on a podcast rather than the one hosting?
I was super stoked because, to be honest, like I would, if there was an option to do it like all the time, I would. But not a lot of people, like, you know, the hustle of a podcast is tough, and not a lot of people can do it.
You've been on the Bunt before, right?
I've been on the Bunt. That was super fun. I've been on the Bomb Hole, which is a snowboarding podcast. Yeah. Shout out to Chris Granier. Those guys are awesome. I've been on
that's in Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City.
So you had to fly out there for that?
I was at Street League because they had one 2 or 3 years ago. They had it there, and then I talked to Chris, and he's like, "Oh, just stay out, and we'll do one."
Yeah, I need to see if they have a travel budget in the winter time,
dude. You to be honest,
for a 42-year-old ex-skate,
you know,
to be on there.
Those dudes probably would have you on for sure. I think I've been on a podcast called Are You Garbage? And it's like a comedian, like these comedians, and they're hilarious. And they're huge. They travel everywhere now. And I'm just super happy to get asked to get on. But if someone asked me to go on a podcast and they lived in like San Francisco or Boston, I would go do it. Dude, like, you know what I mean? Like that to be able to go do something, I'm like, hell yeah, I'll be there. You hit me up, I was like, yeah, dude, I'll be there.
They're fun. I've done that before. I've booked flights to the East Coast to jump on High Snobides one, Throwing Fits, my other friend Jeremy's podcast. I don't know. It's a fun. Yeah. I don't know. It's cool to sit and rap out with people.
Oh, it is, dude. And it in a weird way I feel like a lot of people when they come on our show, and maybe I would say the same with you when you came on, that it almost feels like therapy in a way because you look back at what you did through skateboarding, and sometimes you get like nostalgic about it, or you remember things. Sorry, that you forgot about.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I forgot about that one time. But it's super cool to do it. I also it's fun for me because I get to I'm such a skate nerd.
Yeah.
I think it's just to meet these people is kind of like and hang out with them and get this intimate like this 4 of us in a room just talking about someone's life that I've looked up to my whole life. Yeah. It's cool for me, and I'm sure everyone. I mean, and then sitting there with Jerron.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dude, Dubs.
He's a great addition.
Yeah. And Chris as well, obviously. Like
it's funny, back in the day, I remember I think Barrett Luce was the aesthetics team manager who had connected me to these guys and introduced me to Kelly. And I think at the time he was sending you Elwood stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember all of us were fighting for like that last slot on aesthetics. And I remember being like, Barrett, this guy you're bringing around, is he in the running? If so, I might be sticking some sand in his gas tank when he goes to leave to go back to Laguna. I'm like, this kid is fucking good, yo. If I'm in the running with him, I got no shot, man. And he's younger than me.
You know what's funny though? Looking back at those times, I don't really remember if I had that feeling from you, but I feel like a lot of people back then, a lot of skaters were like worried about that type of things when someone new came in.
Oh hell yeah,
yeah. And this is the way it was, and I don't know if that's still a thing.
Man, you know, every slot on any skateboard company that mattered at
Yes,
the
that's true.
time, which the gap was few and far between. You had like it was either a really good company or we don't give a fuck, you know. And it was like if there was a slither of an opportunity on any brand back then, it was like very, very important. And guys, I don't know how it is now, but dudes weren't just getting on. It was like you knew the process. You had to go through a whole,
You went through a whole
background check, and
you went through a lot different than I did, and there was a point where I left Sugar because Robbie was like, "Yo, if you really want to try to like skate, you gotta like kind of you gotta find the right big
or you
company."
couldn't. And that was another thing. You couldn't really be. You couldn't have like the aura of like a
You-
lesser brand or like that
w-
that stench on you.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
that,
If you
you get
wanted to get
branded a certain way, and you
yeah,
know, like there's certain dudes that came out of that company. I think that company was respected in our circle
uh,
here. It wasn't like the biggest company ever, but it wasn't like so. The Marco's awesome, and that company was cool. Had Gino Perez on
yeah,
it. I was
yeah,
like, this
yeah,
is
yeah,
sick, you know. But I totally Robbie was kind of letting me know that.
yeah,
And Tone Nguyen back then was letting me know, and even like Tyrone Romero, like
yeah,
those were guys I like grew up with, and kind of like, yo, you gotta try something else. And
yeah.
so it was tough for me to like do that, but what was rad about that, I got a box from Shorties. Barrett sent me a box for aesthetics,
Uh-huh.
and dude, I remember because I like small, skinny boards,
Oh man, our
but
boards were tiny.
but those aesthetics boards were something else, dude.
Yeah,
Those were like they were kind of steep and really
super steep.
and like really skinny
Yeah.
and like kind of pointy, maybe
Yeah.
a little
I
pointy.
usually have them all here too. I still have a bunch left, but I don't right now. But yeah, it's super. The only ones that were bigger was usually Sal's board. I think Clyde rode a little bit bigger, but KT, Welsh, and Joey Pepper all 7'7" 7'6"
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, these guys are tall as fuck, and they ride these little ass boards.
I know, dude. You look back at old footage, how big like dudes are,
Yeah,
and then how tiny those boards are. Like
And
you watch like the Keenan switch flip over the table, dude. That board,
man, it's like a mini. Yo.
yeah, dude, it's
It's
so
like-
tiny.
yeah.
It's like, damn, like, you know how much harder that is to do it on that almost.
Wait,
And it's like,
speaking of minis, when when you were in your learning flip tricks, like first early eras of learning flip tricks, did you ever jump on a mini and be like, holy shit, this is so much easier to flip the board this way?
you know what?
This,
I don't know if
this is some total suburb nerd shit.
you know, I don't think those boards were really around until I was like into skating, like
All right.
fully into skating. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I really had no.
I think one
No
of my
drive
best
to it.
friends who I grew up skating with, his little brother skated and would get the mini, and we'd be like, "Damn, we can tray flip on this thing," or like, "Yo, switch heel flips are way easier on this thing." You're like, "Dude, it's only got like a 28-inch wheelbase or length," you know.
I'm just glad that I never thought
It's
about
funny.
doing that. yeah, I like. I just want to finish the story about. what's
sorry,
the-
my
no, no,
bad.
no, no, no. I love that. But I was just like, just in case anyone else even cares watching, they're like, "Well, you didn't finish the story."
Uh-huh.
I got a box from aesthetics. The boards were like skinny, and I tried. I'd already sent 4 tapes to Expedition, or I sent 3 tapes.
Mm.
I sent my 4th one in, like after this is like 2 years of sending tape, or like whatever it was, a year and a half,
Yeah.
and finally got a call back like the next day, and it was like my senior year in high school, and it was Troy Morgan. He's like, "Yo, this is Troy Morgan," and I remember like. This was like when cell phones first were around.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Like, I got a call back and on my voicemail, I'm like, he's like, can you come in? I'd love to work, like talk and blah, blah, blah. Barrett hit me up and I told him what had happened. I was like, yo, I really want to ride for Expedition. I love aesthetics. But I've always just kind of gravitated. I love Ryan Gallant. I love, well, Stefan had left already and Beeble, but I loved when they were there.
Yeah.
But Barrett was so rad. He's like, hey, dude, like, I back whatever you want to do, but like, I got a spot for you on Elwood.
Elwood, yeah.
So I was like, so at the same time, I got like put on Expedition. I was blessed to go skate the park with met with those dudes, and Gallant. I met Gallant for the first time, and I was in like awe because PJ Ladd's
he's
Wonderful
a
Hope of
legend,
Life was out, and
yeah.
like he was like the dude as well. So, but he said I just skated flat ground with him and skated the park, and they put me on that night.
Get out of here.
Not even like go skate with the guys and do whatever. But I got along and we skated, and he said he liked my kickflip. So I was like, I got a board sponsor and a clothing sponsor that I was super proud to be a part of. Like, and basically, like that one night, even though I tried like just to get on different people for try to figure it out. But
when you were filming those sponsor me tapes, were any of the video clips or photos from those tricks leaking into the mags or into 4-on-1s or anything?
The only one, so I would say the first 3 tapes I made were not even really good. And then the 4th one was when it was like a major gap of my skating.
Gotcha.
It was like I want to push myself.
Step it up.
I started skating gaps and handrails, which I was never doing that as a kid. I had a shove it heel flip, which was my last trick in my sponsor tape, and that was a who's hot.
Over the rail?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That spot always looked cool, man. I liked spots like that.
You would have loved it. The only thing, it was tough because the run up was short and skinny, but you would do anything to get a clip that like you know, like, damn, that spot just looks cool.
That spot too is like very representative of the time too.
Yeah,
like the flip over the rail like that, the diagonal rail, like
dude, the one in down or what's
Hollywood?
It called? Yeah. Carol Nolly aerial flip. Yeah.
Did Robbie ever talk to you ever about possibly connecting dots with girl or chocolate?
No, dude, you know, I feel like I always believed in my head as a kid, there's no way I could ever be a part of that crew. Like they were so elite that it was like only heroes. And I was like, I can't ride with those. I'm like too nervous.
Yeah.
I never had that option in my thought process in my head.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? Did you have that same feeling almost, or was it just
with
me?
Girl and Chocolate?
Yeah.
No, I totally understand where you're coming from. The only reason I ask is like, I think in retrospect, I was able to identify that like back then, all it took was one relationship of like one person that really, really believed in you to help get you in the door and help usher, and support you. I always recognize that with Kevin Taylor. Mind you, I had to fucking ask Kev. Like I remember cornering him. Like I think we got kicked out of Love and we were sitting down at this little spot across the street from Green Village, which was a little corner store we would go to. And I remember asking him like straight up, like didn't even wait. I wasn't waiting for him any longer to ask me if he could help me get down. Like, yo, can you help me get down? And then from that day forward, I still pushed the envelope and I still begged and badgered and stuff. But that's what it was back then. It was like you needed that one dude to help get you in. And then obviously it's up to the rest of the team to have to be fucking with you too.
Yeah, I think, and that's where I feel like you fit in perfectly with aesthetics is that you actually like were friends with those dudes. I love the story. You said like, he had to hang out with Clyde and see how that worked. And then you guys became friends and then like, you became part of that, you became part of that crew. Yeah, I always wondered that because I was like, you and Robbie were always so close, and you guys skated together a lot. And Robbie, he really did. I'm so blessed. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, how lucky we are to have people. There's certain people in our lives that really just look out for us. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm super like so thankful for that. Like, and the thing with Robbie was that he would help me. He got me on DC Flow. He was like, yo, you gotta get on DC. Yeah. I think Robbie at that time, I don't feel like I felt bad for Robbie at that point because at that time skateboarding was so like, there's only a few brands to be on. And then he was there for a minute. He was OG at that point. Yeah. And then you have Paul Rodriguez and Jeremy Rogers coming in as AMs. Yeah. Like, and you're like competing at that point. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, damn, I wasn't looking for Robbie to help me out with him. I was like, Robbie's got his own. He's trying to do his thing right now. Because that's when he was filming for Yeah Right and the DC video. Yes, yeah. So I wasn't going to, hey, Robbie, can you help me get on Girl? It was more like I saw his grinding going on. It was a lot, yeah. It's funny that you say that because a lot of those years that we're talking about hanging out was all in the crux of the DC video of Yeah Right. Which it's sick because I watched both of those parts and it's like, it's cool to remember which of those sessions we were there for. Yeah. Like having actually I filmed that Century City Oh yeah, that's
double
right.
set nollie. And that's the only trick I ever filmed in my life. I had no clue. All right, I'll just stand here and
That's amazing though.
good luck if this thing comes out and it ended up getting used.
Yeah.
But that's awesome, man. So an Expedition in 1 at that point is popping.
It was good. It was doing really good.
I feel like Beebles. I mean, I liked Expedition prior to, but I really feel like that one Beeble Transworld part just like
it wasn't Beeble though.
Who was it?
It was Shanny.
Oh yeah, it was Shanny.
It was Shanny.
Oh, Shanny's part, but Beeble's clips in the video.
Yeah,
like
shut it down.
Yeah,
you were like, "This who is the? This is." I think I heard that. Do you hear that story about Carol, where he was like at the Transl or at that Modus premiere? He was like,
it was Shanny's part.
It was Shanny, but Shanny got hurt. That's why.
Gotcha.
But Shanny's footage in there was dope. Everyone had a good part, or in that. The whole video was obviously incredible. But I heard that video was going down, and Beeble does this thing like nollie back heels, the 10 stare, and all that stuff. And Carol's like, I just heard, it's like, I want that dude on girl.
Yeah.
Like, I want that dude. And that's like, I was
because it was only a matter of time before he got plucked and went to.
Because you got on Lakai first.
Lakai, yeah.
And then you're there for a little bit. It's just game over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who's gonna say no?
At that,
at
you
that
have Carol
point.
hitting you up, like you're like, yeah, I'll do whatever. But yeah.
And so you're just a kid from Laguna Beach now. And you're like, damn, I'm on Expedition.
I was super hyped. It was weird too because it was right when KO started. So it was rad to see like DGK start to do its thing, and that thing is still huge.
Yeah.
Like Organica and Gold Wheels, and it was just rad to be in this like mix of like so many diverse skaters.
Yeah.
Especially back then when you meet like Carl Watson to Adelmo to Stevie to Marcus McBride to like I remember going on these trips. Like, yo, I'm like chilling with Marcus McBride right now. I'm like a 19-year-old kid. You know, I'm a little kid from Laguna, but I grew up just like idolizing these skate videos, like Mouse Trilogy, anything with those dudes in it. And it was kind of ridiculous for me. I was like, this is unbelievable for me to hang out with these guys.
All of that talent between all of them brands underneath that one umbrella was pretty incredible, yo. I remember the day being at Love, hearing the day that Stevie was starting this new company called DGK, and was like, holy shit. Because at the time, no one's ever thinking about quitting chocolate.
Yeah.
You know? And then
that was big.
And then like for me as like a 22-year-old kid, of thought of starting your own skateboard company sounded like so huge and overwhelming.
Yeah.
You know, and then it's like obviously knowing DGK and knowing the name and stuff, it was like, holy shit, this is like such a power move.
Yeah, I was what's up?
No, this is good because I was you even talking about traveling with with Marcus and Adelmo and stuff. I just went back and watched your It's Official part, and I remember the premiere for it in Philly.
I don't think I made it to that one.
It was cool, but that part is like, is that one of your favorite parts of your own ever?
Not necessarily, dude. I think.
Because it's
funny,
so good, man.
Thanks. I got hurt like I broke my foot like in the middle of that, and I never got my filming got cut short like a year more than anyone else's. I was out.
Oh no way!
I broke my foot like in half. It was nuts. But it's really cool to hear randomly how many I get people like, dude, I grew up watching It's Official.
Yeah.
And when you're a kid like us or whatever, like. You're looking at Mouse and Trilogy, being like, dude, I grew up watching Mouse and Trilogy.
What is that, 05, 06?
I think it was 05 or 6. I want to say it was 06.
All right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was a super fun part. Basically, all that footage was me not knowing I was filming for that video.
Get out of here.
It was already like, when I broke my foot, they were like, hey, we're calling it It's Official, and it's going to come out in like, probably 6 to 8 months.
Such a good name.
Yeah, and I was like, no, but I had like literally my foot was like I was getting surgery.
Yeah,
and I was gonna be out for like the next year.
The song is so good they used.
Dude, I remember I used to smoke weed back in the day.
Wait a minute. I used to smoke reefer.
Yeah, no, but like I remember listening to that song, that Common album. Like
that album is incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I still listen to it all the time. Hearing that song and being when I was like after I smoked it, and I was like, I want to skate to that song. I've never really gotten that feeling in my life. I've gotten like probably 4 times.
Yeah.
And I showed it to them, and they're like, "Cool, all right." And I remember going to watch the video before at like I think maybe at Shanny's house. And there was like 4 of us, me, Troy, Shanny, and I don't know, Matt Daughters maybe. And my part comes on, and it's ZZ Top. It's the first time it's like, and on my face, I'm like,
oh my God.
And they're like, yeah, we need someone to have like a faster paced song because everything's like hip hop and like reggae in this. And I'm like, well, I really just want, and I was so sad. And I went for a couple days after, and we're in the limo going to the premiere down in Carlsbad or Encinitas. And Troy, like, he's like, yo, we put your song back in.
Was that just a fuck?
I don't.
Was that a joke?
It could have been. I'm fucking with you.
But nobody said nothing at that specific viewing session.
No, I was such a little kid and gullible and like shy that I was like just not gonna say anything, and I was just sad.
Oh, man.
But that might have been a joke looking back at those dudes now, because those guys always doing funny
Dude, that
stuff.
is funny, man. When we're editing this, we're gonna cut to like ZZ Top version of Kelly.
Dude, knowing Troy
that's actually
too,
insane, yo.
Knowing Troy too, Troy might have done that just to like be funny.
Dude, that is fucked up.
Yeah,
that's legitimately fucked up.
It was
Thank
like
God it changed it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. And then I was super stoked in that part. I remember that last trick I did. Like that was no one had really skated. Like it was off the mock.
Yeah, hell yeah. No, that tray flip is amazing. Man.
Thanks. I mean, I remember doing it though, and not being like, I want to go back and do it again. And my friend, you know what? I don't know why skaters have this in them, where they do a trick and it's like totally fine.
Not me. I do it once. I was done. I'm still that way. Cool. Got it. All right. Let's get out of here.
But yeah, no, I was stoked on that.
Did you do it again?
No, I was just like, my friend was like, dude, you're tripping.
All right.
And I just don't know why I thought that. But yeah, no, I was stoked, and that came out, and yeah, good times.
And at that, so that's like 05, 06. Man, honestly, for me, it's like the next couple of years, like riding out Ice Cream. And then, like you said, when you mentioned Jeremy and Paul and those guys, I would skate with those guys, with Terry out in the valley, and I'd see how good they are. And I'd see Shane, who they only called Nugget back then. And I was like, yeah, I can't do nothing these guys can do, man. Like, I can't even do their warm-ups. Like, I got no skin in this game no more, yo.
I don't know if there's ever been... Is there any other kids like that anymore? Like, I would say Yuto can, like, I don't even think, like, those dudes, especially Paul, was so next level. It was like,
Tori would be with him. It's actually kind of fucked up. I had no business. I mean, it's fun skating with those guys, but me in my own head, like trying to frame up, like to see where I might stand with them was stupid, yo. These kids are still like some of the best skateboarders.
It was nuts,
dude.
You know? And there was a big difference between them and then like all of us. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
hell yeah,
we did our thing, but there was a different level of like their etiquette and what they did at a skate spot. Like we talk about it on the show all the time, how like P-Rod, when he showed up to a spot, if it was like a 9-10 stair rail, he'd be like, board slide, back 50, front 5-0, front nose, back tail, nollie crook. And then you're just like, yo, what trick do you want to try?
Yeah.
Like, he's just doing all this just to warm up.
Yeah.
I was like terrified. So I'd be like, I want to do that one trick. Like, I'd nollie flip, no sit a rail. And I was like, I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
I'm not 50-50ing that rail, dude.
Sometimes I would try to tell, like if I was with a filmer, I would like fake like I actually had that same approach too. And it'd just be a grind before maybe trying a back lip. I'm like, yo, set up. And then they'd just be like, nah, bro, just tell me when you're ready to go. I ain't doing all that. Yeah.
That was a fun time, man. That was cool. I remember seeing Paul for the first time. And it was when, actually, I was there for a lot of his footage in Yeah Right. And I took him to all these spots back where I'm from. But it was the day he switched crook this ledge over a gap that like drops off on the force there. And I was just talking to him. He's like, oh, no, Kelly, yeah, no, I've heard about you before, man. And I was like, whoa, what the hell? But he just, like, did a switch tray on flat while just kind of talking to me. Like, and I never had seen anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, switch tray is, like, the holy grail of, like, flip tricks. And when you have it that easy, like, it looked like a regular one, I was just like, oh, you're something way different.
That's cool, yeah.
Yeah. But
there was this dude that he was, like one of my oldest heads I grew up skating with. His name was Chris Yergelite. Chris Yergelite, if you see this. But, dude, this guy would just be sitting in the skate shop, sitting still, and he would tray flip probably about yay high, swear to God. And then he would land it perfect, and then he'd go to the other side, and he'd do switch tray flip that high.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. This is before my time, but rumor has it that he threw tre-flips down the Love Gap, caught it, but didn't put it down. But he was an amazing snowboarder, so something like that wasn't out of his
Oh wow,
his ability back then.
dude, I want to say something real quick. And I'm not trying to make you feel weird or bad anyway. What does it feel like to look back at the Switch 180 down Love and just know?
I feel so robbed,
dude. Like I tripped on that because I'm like, oh, dude, it was just there.
Yeah, it was right there.
It was right there,
and it was that I tried it like 5 or 6 different days, but that was the only day it felt really feasible. And I put it down so many times, and it was like, mind you, I think Anthony had already switch ollied it, and
did Brian switch back?
And I think Wenny had already switch 180'd it, and
switch frontside 180 or switch backside?
I'm sorry, switch backside 180'd it. So it was like switch frontside 180 was like, all right, it's not as rad as M2, but no one has flipped down it yet, so anything is still and especially something switch is still game, you know.
That switch 180 is right in that realm right there. Switch ollie, switch 180, switch back 180.
Yeah, like
I would argue that switch back 180 is probably the hardest.
Hell yeah.
But switch 180 is right there with it. You know what I mean? Like,
I can get this off. If I can roll away, this will be something.
Hell yeah.
So, but I'll probably post it 5 more times. But yeah, thank you for acknowledging that.
Oh, dude, I when you posted that the other day or whenever it was, I was like, damn, you really had that.
Yeah.
And like, there's certain tricks that get away, but you're like, it's all good.
G sent me the sequence with like a year or 2 ago. Like the sequence from all the way back then. He had found it, scanned it for me. Shouts to Ryan G. His father, G's pops, just passed away. So G, we're thinking about you, man.
Sorry to hear
there,
that.
brother.
That dude's a legend, dude. That dude is a legend. I never really got to shoot with him at all, but it was crazy back then looking at Transworld when Transworld was it. You know what I mean? Like where it had like they had all the best photographers, they had all the best skaters in there. It was just like you remember how big it was? It was huge. Like
I saw, I'll be on Twitter and I see like skate Twitter and like see some of these kids from skate Twitter calling somebody a Transworld ass skater. And I'm like, this is obviously coming from like a 2024, 2023 perspective and lens at how these kids see skating. And I was like, damn, Transworld ass skate. Like Transworld was the bar back then.
Dude,
it
was bigger than Thrasher.
Yeah.
It literally was. I don't care what anyone says. There was beef between those two.
I never knew that.
I mean, I wouldn't say there was like beef, but like there was there was competition between Thrasher and Transworld back then. You know what I mean?
That's
like
interesting, yeah.
Because back then there was only a couple magazines.
Yeah. And it's Transworld videos too were so big.
I was a fan of I'm still a fan of both, but yeah, that was like only certain media outlets back then. That's why skateboarding now is so crazy because it's like there's so much content and places to get it.
Yeah.
But back then we had everything delivered to us at a skate shop, or
you had to wait for it to come in.
4-in-1s, Transworld, Thrasher, Slap.
Slap was my favorite. Slap will always be my favorite.
Slap was dope. Strength magazine.
Strength was rest in peace, Eric Stricker. Stricker was huge, man.
Yeah.
And the process too, where it's like, if me and you go shoot a picture right now, you're gonna shoot it digital. You're going to send it to me. I'm going to throw it on Instagram.
Yeah.
People are going to like it for a half a day. But the process back then was like, shoot the picture. You don't even know if the photo came out because they have to still send it off to get developed. The photographer might have fucked up.
Yeah.
The angle could be wrong. Okay, it's cool. Let me send it to the magazine. That's 7 to 10 days. You're waiting for the editor to get it, approve of it. Then he's got to give it to whoever's doing the layouts. It's just like, dude, think about all them steps I just said. Like,
the steps are insane. And now it's like, like you said, shoot a photo, send it to me, I'll post it.
Yeah. It's like that shit felt like you won the lottery if you got in the magazine back in the day.
Getting photos in the magazine. I had a decent amount of photos in mags back in the day. I was talking about skate magazines. Totally forgot to mention Skateboard mag.
Skateboard mag and too when it came out.
Skateboarder.
Yeah. Skateboarders.
Skateboarder was dope. Skateboarder to me was like a little bit more of like the girl chocolate side of skateboarding because it had like, Aaron Mesa was there.
Yeah.
So he had like, they had those, and Ben Cohen
very
was there.
sophisticated.
Yeah, it was like, it was sick,
yeah.
dude. What was I saying?
Getting into magazines.
Oh no, I had like an 8-page interview, I think, in
that's huge.
Skateboard magazine, the Skateboard Mag.
Yeah.
And I just remember, I was like, I can't believe. I remember that was a huge moment for me. But like, oh, they had things called New Jacks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What was that photo incentive check looking like?
Dude, that was the biggest check because I wrote for LRG, or I still do technically, so which is pretty cool. But I remember getting a check from LRG for $2,500 for that. And when I'm a kid, wasn't making
You're rolling
much.
into money. You're rolling into dough, yo.
I think I made close. It was the first time in my life I had saved up $10,000.
Damn.
And I was like, damn. But I think that was the only inkling I got from money, the feeling I got, and then I didn't really care. It was like I wasn't skating to make money at all.
No, yeah.
I literally wasn't it. I was just, all I wanted to do was skate and try to skate with people that I respected and go to places that I wanted to skate with and people like I respected there. So that was kind of all I wanted to do was skate.
When you look back on the how to generate revenue back in the day, dude, it was like that was like the biggest thing is this. I mean, if you weren't a contest skater or like one of like the top dogs, it was like, I think aesthetics, I was getting like $250 a month.
Yeah.
And then if you got a photo incentive check for a stack, you're like, bro, this is 4 of them checks. I'm rich for like a week, like,
dude, for real, like that's a big deal back then. Yeah. I think I remember.
Like, how do these kids get money now?
I don't know. Well, I think a lot of them make money personally off their own media outlets, or like I would say
GoPuff ads and stuff.
I honestly, I don't know, dude.
Yeah.
Like I mean, some people still have sponsors, obviously, but the whole everything's crazy up and down in skateboarding. It's just nothing close to what it was.
Gotcha.
Like that same stuff we did as kids, like photo incentive. Like if there's a photo in a magazine now, I'm like, yo, to be honest, a photo on Instagram could probably get crazier amount of views than that photo in the magazine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird how that works now. But I don't
know. The printed, like something printed was like such a big deal back in the day, And
it's just not. It's just not as big anymore. I think Thrasher is doing a great job of like having a traditional, organic, authentic skateboard magazine. And I think that it's other than them. I mean, they have income of like, Thrasher t-shirts and like they've created a brand and the website or the YouTube.
Get your video part placed.
It's like
on
they
there.
built it perfect for this day and age.
Yeah.
And they just beat everyone to it. And they were like the best at it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard.
Interesting.
Any other skate magazines out there, it's hard to do it.
I love Jamie Owens with Closer.
Yes.
Obviously Jamie is like from our eras, so I like the people that he picks to shoot and
he's doing a great job
in there and stuff.
He's doing a great job. It's just like that seems like a very tough business.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't know. Skateboarding's a tough business regardless. But I don't know. I think we just do it. We don't do it because it's easy.
Yeah.
We do it because we love it. And so those ups and downs, it doesn't matter. You just kind of, it's funny. Even I can't skate like I used to because I have all these injuries, but I still think about skateboarding like every single day, all the time.
Yeah, me too.
It's crazy.
I'm a fucking nerd about it. So what is all right. So It's Official comes out. That's 05.
Yep.
What year did you break the internet with the fakie tre-flip, fakie Manny at the courthouse?
10 years later.
That's 2015.
2015.
What is that in between 2005 2015? That's 10 years. What
Yeah, crazy.
In a nutshell.
I had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
I broke my right ankle, dislocated that. I broke my right foot. What else did I do? Oh, I broke my left foot, broke my right ankle, torn my ACL. Not torn it, but like ripped it or something. I was out for a while. Anyways, I filmed the LRG video, the Give My Money Chico.
Yeah.
That was out. And then to be honest, what a big part of my career, and I thank them so much, is the Barracks.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, like I was like, when it came out,
like doing bang-ins or stuff like
bang-ins, I probably had like 5 or 6 bangings.
Oh, get out of here.
There
was not a 3 banging limit?
I don't know. When Chase is your homie,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Chase is like, yo, come in, I got you. Yeah. Obviously, it wasn't like every 3 months coming out.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest video part for me, to be honest, was the recruit part I had at the Barracks.
No way, damn.
That's probably the biggest response that I've gotten. The people still being like, yo, I grew up watching your recruit.
Yeah.
Because the Barracks at that time was like a cast of people.
Yeah.
It was like watching a show.
It was, yeah.
You know, and I was lucky to be a part of that. And
Yeah.
they create like, they're doing like text yourselves and I don't know what all that stuff. But I think a lot of people were questioning that was so new and disruptive of like the internet that like, I think people that ran businesses were like, I don't know where this is going.
Yeah.
This is not the traditional Thrasher trans world media outlet we're getting. We're getting something completely new. And I think that shook up the industry pretty hard.
I mean, well, you're filming video parts in a skate park.
Totally.
I'm just messing
No.
with you. I'm just kidding.
But you know what it was?
I'm bugging with you.
No, I know, but you know what it was?
It was a thing. It was a shift.
Yeah.
You know, like the age-old
totally
argument. You know, it's like I remember Carol being like, I can't film a trick in here and use it because then if I film that trick in here, you've seen me do it now. It's like it's not gonna hit as hard with a street part. And I'm like, I totally get that train of thought. But I also understand for as the climate's changing and as generations are changing, like how tricks are being digested and content in general is being digested. It's like, yo, this is actually the wave now, you know? So
no, for sure. I mean, that year, 2010, I had the LRG part drop. I had footage. I had like a minute part or something in the expedition video. And I had that recruit part. So I had like kind of a lot for me going on that year. But I think it was what I liked about the Barracks so much, especially that recruit part, was that I never had like a love park in Southern California. Obviously there's like the courthouse, but I lived like an hour away from it. So I didn't have a place where I could just go and like try to film a video part. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, like Love Park, Stevie, Kalis, like that's one of my favorite things ever is to watch a video part at Love. Obviously it's not the same thing. I understand that, but that for me, that was like me skating at Pier 7. And I got to skate like obstacles I like to skate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the stuff there is perfect. It gives you the opportunity to learn and do things that like it's going to be much harder doing at a street spot. You know, it's like, so it's a, you know, if it's your cup of tea, you know, and you can make it work, cool. You know, if it's not, that was always my thing is like, when you see, you know, obviously some people would take massive offense to it, you know, and like, you know, the real ride or dies are like,
dude,
you know,
the gatekeepers, whatever you want to call it, dude. I get it. I totally get it. And like, I just try to like be not always like, but I just want to be a little bit different. If something's new happening, like, dude, to be honest, 9 Club, if you were going to tell me 10, 15 years ago that skateboarders were going to start a talk show and talk about skating, people would have thought you were nuts.
Oh yeah.
Skater, like those same skaters that were like, the Barracks is what is that? They would have said the same thing about the podcast. I know it for a fact. Like that, and I don't know. I remember when Instagram, when it started to pop off around 14, 15, and that's when I was like, I had gotten let go by all the companies because I had my own shit going on too, personally, and you know, family stuff and whatever, and luckily it's all good. But I was just really into like social media, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna post all my clips that I get, regardless of the skate park or at the streets. I'm posting it.
I remember you telling me, I forget who you said you were skating with, and you had a specific conversation with them about sharing clips on social media. I forget who it was, but it was a pretty good conversation.
No, I mean like,
but you were telling me how you would utilize it, and I forget whoever you were skating with was like, oh, you don't want to hold on to that, or
I feel like look back at some of the stuff I was maybe doing was kind of cringy. I'm like, oh, what am I sharing this with people for? Like, you know, and at the same time, who cares?
Yeah.
You know, like, does someone, is it really, if you just want to share something, then share it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But
I think too, a lot of it comes down to like, I think people's age and where they're at in their life. Like, I think especially as we get older, it's like, you know, we're not so like, you know, if you're a kid that's like hard in the streets, I can understand it because you want to be everything to be in context to what you're doing and where you see your, you know, the ethics and morals of it to align with where you're at. And everyone's entitled to their own perspective and opinion, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think that 2015 was like the best year of my life.
That's
that's
so cool.
It was Don Brown, like, gave me a chance, dude. Like, you're talking about people that like give you that chance and look out for you. He literally gave me a chance and looked out for me. He was just like, yo, dude, go. He gave me a job at Soltech doing for the ST manager. And he's like, just go. You don't need to be in the office, dude. Go skate. If it ain't something done, I could easily talk to you about getting something done.
That's rad, man.
And that's that year where I just focused on skateboarding, and because it was fun, it wasn't my job anymore.
Yeah.
It's crazy when something's not your job anymore, how much you excel at it sometimes. But
all right. LRG part, that's your favorite video part?
I think in the streets, I think LRG is my favorite video part. There's like a couple of tricks in there. I mean, my last trick is like a switch 5-0, switch flip out, and this like up curve ledge. And like that was like the randomest thing for me to start trying, and I just did it. And I've never done it since. Like, I did a regular the only times I've done either of those tricks, it was the same spot but different sides of the spot.
Yeah.
Front 5-0, kick flipped out, and I was like, I've never done that in my life. Whatever. Then next trip later, I go skate the other side, and somehow I just kind of started trying it, and it just worked out.
Damn.
And those traveling with Carl Watson, Rob G, Chico, and these dudes that I grew up watching.
Greatest dudes.
They were great, and they looked after me too.
Yeah.
They really did.
That's cool.
I think, and then also like my childhood friend, he's like a couple 4 or 5 years older, but Tyrone Romero, like, he lived right up the street from me growing up, and he's one of the first skaters I met in my hometown. And for having him being my team manager and like not just being nice to me, you know him, he talks mad shit, but like when you're messing up, dude, he'll tell you.
Yeah.
But when you're doing good, he'll tell you as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or sometimes he won't. But I'm just kidding. But like, I'm proud to see what he's doing with everything with New Balance.
He's well deserving of the positions in life that he's had and that he's continues to be in. Oh, so the fakie tray flip comes out. You film it. Who filmed it on their phone?
So I was there one day.
You'd been trying it?
Never. I never tried it. You
ever even tried a fakie tray flip up it?
No, I tried it randomly. And I like, it's one of those things like, oh, maybe that's possible. I try it immediately, like, you know, bored, just like, you just get so disrespected.
I don't know, because I couldn't do any of that, but I hear you.
But you just get like, the board just flies away. And you're like, okay, that's not possible. You know, and so I never tried it. And then I was there with Steve Vanasco, and I met him. It was when we released the Sal for the 23 for S. We did like a slimmer version of it. And I gave him a pair there, and we're skating. And he was like, dude, you should try that. I'm like, oh, it's not possible. Like, I've already tried. It like doesn't even make sense. And then he's like, no, dude, you could do that, I think. And I was like, all right, I was a warrior back then. I was like working out. I didn't drink.
The social clip. I was a warrior.
No, I was, dude. If I look back, dude, you know,
you're focused.
This is how I know I was on some next level, like not next level skating. It was more about like my mind of like working out and whatever. So I start trying it, and I realized, I'm like, damn, you just got to go fast and pop really early. And somehow my board kind of got thrown up onto there without hitting the ledge. I was like, oh. So I kept trying it, and then I landed the fakie tray up it. Just fakie tray. And I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know how
Who
I
was it, Brad Hayes? No. It was one of those West Side guys. Nollie backside flipped up it. Boyle was his name or something?
Butters.
Yeah.
I think he wasn't from LA.
And that was a 4-on-1 opener, right?
Yeah, I think that dude was from like
Butters.
Kansas City or
he
like,
was Manny's man. Yeah. Shouts to Manny,
That was sick, dude.
But so you get it up it and you're like, I'm cool.
I got the trick up there and I was like, cool, I did it. And then Steve was like, no, dude, you gotta do it to fakie manual. Because I would fakie shove, fakie manual, I think all the time when I went there.
Fakie shove, fakie Manny.
Yeah.
And you could do fakie tray, fakie Manny's, obviously.
I've done it on like curbs. Yeah. I think I did
so
one
from a curb to something that high.
I know, but that trick to be honest, that trick on a curb is hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a nollie tray nose mail. I've never done that. I've tried it forever. It's hard. Fakie tray, fakie mail, I would agree is a little easier than nollie tray. Anyway, I did it parallel in my LRG part. Mm-hmm. So I think it was like maybe that tall. So I was like, that would, I don't know. Anyways, I started getting into it and falling forward. And then one just worked out. Shout out to Chris Pierre. He filmed me on my iPhone because there was no filmer there. I didn't care. I was like, hey, dude, do you think you can just film me? Like, it was on my iPhone. I gave it to him. And I kept looking back at that. I was like, imagine if you missed. Like, because after I landed it, he was like, dude, I didn't get it. Like, trying to mess with me. And you seen that clip that, like, I felt like when I landed that, my whole life came to, like, it was supposed to be for that one moment. Like, you know what I felt like? I'm going to sound like an idiot, but I don't even care. I felt like Rudy.
There you
go. Know what I mean?
Yeah, like, that's not a bad metaphor.
I felt like I tried so hard to get to this one thing in my life where, like, and I felt like that it happened when I landed, and I was like, you see my face after I'm like exhausted. And then,
so many things could have gone wrong. You could have touched your wheels at some point. Your tail or your nose could have touched when you came off of it. Like, you know, it just there's the probability of fucking that up after you landed in a perfect fakie tray, fakie Manny is still so high because it's like hella long, and the fact that you did that is like remarkable.
Thanks, dude. I look back, I was like, damn, I'm proud of that moment. Mainly because maybe when I was growing up, I never thought I could ever really do anything that was like, you know what I mean? I was just like, oh, I'm just like a kid, like, and I'm just here. Like, I'm not trying to be. I didn't think being a pro baseball player or a pro skateboarder was really attainable. I just thought it was like cool to go do things, but I was proud to do that. And I rolled. Yeah, what was it? So what I meant by I was a warrior back then, when I did that, I went back home. I didn't tell anyone, and I went for a run.
I like that. You were just in it. You were locked in.
I went for a run after.
You were just like hyper focused. Yeah.
So that's why I was like, oh yeah, I was on some different, like, working out was like a gnarly thing.
And then you posted it?
So that was on a Friday. And then, like, it started to leak a little bit. Back then it was like
the news of it started to leak?
Yeah.
All right.
Because Tyrone hit me up. He's like, you're fucking nuts. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, he's like, I heard what you did, dude. What the hell?
Damn. The trick heard
and, like,
around
Brian
the world.
Peacock hit me up. He was like, yo, what the fuck? But I didn't do anything with it yet. I stayed at home. I didn't even tell Roger. I lived with Roger at that point. I didn't tell anyone. Roger had no idea. So 2 days later, I hit up Tony Vitello. Shout out Tony Vitello for this. He was my team manager back in the day. I always appreciate that for adventure. But I was like, yo, I got this clip. Do you think you'd be down to, like, post it, on Thrasher? And I sent him the clip. And he's like, yeah, dude, I'll post that. And I was like, thank you so much. And he posted it that night on a Sunday. And that changed my life.
You just texted it to him?
I just
and the quality with those, like, it transferred over okay?
Yeah, it was.
Imagine he downloads it's all fuzzy. Like, that would have sucked. You fucked my moment up. Yeah.
No, he was so rad, and I was like, hey man, like, I'm actually doing this thing. We have the salary issue and, like, whatever. And he's like, no, I usually don't do this, but I'll tag S in Central for Chico. Like, I wrote for his company at that point. And he turned me pro. Shout out Chico Brenes. But yeah, that was like right when I turned pro.
Damn.
That was on my first pro model skateboard I ever rode of my own.
Damn.
That was kind of like, I look back, I'm like, damn, I did that trick on the first one that I ever rode.
Cool, yeah.
But yeah, sorry to speak about myself so much.
No, I mean, that's why you're here. That's why you're here, yo.
But yeah, so that was like a crazy moment for me because Guy Mariano's texting me, and I don't talk to Guy that much. Kalis hit me up. He gave me a text.
Nah, dude, it's one of the greatest skateboarding tricks ever done. Yeah, for real.
Dude, my Instagram got shut down. Like literally, it shut off.
No way.
I was logged out of my account. I couldn't get in until like the next day. I got like insane amount of followers. It was just getting blown up. It just shut off.
Damn.
And that was just cool because stories weren't around back then.
Yeah. It was straight hard post.
So everyone was hard posting it.
Yeah. So, that's awesome.
So
man.
Thanks. Yeah. No, I was super hyped.
But that and you have the board for Chico.
Yeah.
But you're at that point you're team and kind of brand manager for S.
Yeah.
I love this about you, Kelly, and I know it obviously extends well beyond the fakie tray, fakie tail, or fakie Manny.
Yeah.
All of your business endeavors, whether it's S, whether it's LRG, whether it's the contest circuits, whether it's street league, whatever.
I was doing expedition too later on going back.
But what I want to say is I see firsthand the level of respect that industry people have for you, but I also see the level of respect the skaters, the kids that are really out there have for you. And I also see how you communicate with the kids that are out there. And I think it's very, very cool because they know that, like, all right, you stayed out in the streets, you stayed skating at I think when you were at the height of what you were doing as a sponsored skater, you were someone that a lot of young kids probably looked up to, old heads like myself, recognize how special your talent was, your style, the tricks you could do. But all of that has, obviously you're a good person, but what, your love and passion for skating has transferred over really, really well with you in this portion of your career. And I see that firsthand. So
thank you.
I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
It's really, really cool, man. So
I appreciate to be honest, I think the same with you. And I'm not even saying that just in skateboarding as well, but with what you're doing, like even like in fashion world and what, dude, you're doing shit with the freaking Eagles, dude.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah,
like that's some wild stuff, man. Like so,
I think
incredible.
You said it though early on. It's like for me, my love of skateboarding has never gone anywhere, and I think even, I think back in the day, even with ice cream and how that was absorbed by like the core community. And then once that kind of was done and you kind of fall to the background, it's like inside that, skating is one of them things, man. It's like you're either a lifer or you're not, and more so than not, even if you only could do an ollie 2 inches, there's something about skating that you still genuinely love your entire life. And I still feel that way about it at 42 years old, and I always felt that way, especially the kids in Philly, especially that having grown up in such a special time there, that place will always mean a lot to me. And then seeing new generations of kids, continue on that legacy. It's like, you just don't, skateboarding doesn't leave you, Luckily, like the pandemic really allowed me to fall back in love with actually riding a skateboard. And that has been amazing because I honestly, it was a feeling and an act that I felt so not disconnected from like mentally, just physically, like, man, I'm never going to feel as comfortable as I once did on a board.
Yeah.
And just being forced to go, when we're in COVID times, like I could just go to a skate park or school and be like, bro, nobody's here judging me. I can start this process to get comfortable back on this thing at whatever level I want. And slowly, I was like learning tricks that I couldn't do back in the day when I was actually comfortable riding a board. And slowly but surely, all of those feelings with skating have like come back up with me. But I feel like for you, it's just never gone anywhere. And I see that, and it's really cool.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. What's cool is like, yesterday I was working out. Shout out to cross rope, jump ropes. I was
shouts out. Yeah, I love those things.
Yeah, man. I see you posted.
I do. Like, I use the heavier one right now.
Yeah,
they have a thick one. It's kind of like a weighted one.
They have a quarter pound, half pound, 1 pound, and 2 pound.
Yeah,
it's like laying. No, but that's an awesome company. But I was jump roping and I saw this girl kind of skate up, and she was this parking lot that I hang out a lot. A lot of skaters kind of just cruise around there. And she was just learning how to ollie. And I was like, man, I want to tell her this, but also I don't want to be some random dude just coming up and talking to her. But I was like, this moment in your life is going to be one of the coolest moments is when you start to learn like the ollie and like those first tricks. Looking back as a kid, like those were the funnest moments because you're like trying to figure out a puzzle. And you're like, this puzzle that you finally figure out leads to like this crazy bigger puzzle of all the tricks you could start doing.
The discovery era.
Discovery era is the funnest because you start to realize all these things. Yeah. And you're like, oh, I learned that trick. I can do it there. Yeah. I don't have to skate flat ground. I don't know. I think that's why skateboarding stuck out to me because I grew up surfing and luckily my parents had a beach house, which is very thankful for that. But you would have to like go to the beach to surf. Yeah. When you skated, you just like could walk outside, you know? But yeah, skateboarding is something I never thought as a kid that's what I would be doing. Yeah. Did you think you'd be like a pro baseball player or something or like a football player?
Nah, I mean, I played every sport, but I was smaller, you know, and when you're on like youth teams, you can still recognize like which kids are like really fucking good at it. There was just something about skating. I discovered skating when I was like 5 or 6 years old, and I kept doing it off and on over the years until the point where it was like, I love this thing, and this isn't just something that passion is just it's not gonna stay on the back burner of everything else. Like my senior year of high school, like I think that's when I backflipped the rail. And I was like, oh shit. I was on a really, really great wrestling team, like nationally ranked.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were wrestling.
I was, yeah. And and I remember being like, you know what? I'm just gonna stick to the skating thing. And my mom was heartbroken. My coach was like heartbroken. My teammates were heartbroken. And on the last day before I wouldn't have been eligible for the season, I was like, fuck it. I can't let these dudes down. And I ended up going to wrestle. But the thing with wrestling was like there was no room for skating. It's such a it's such a committed sport, and it takes a lot. So it was like, I literally backflipped the rail and then just disappeared. Didn't come back downtown until spring when the season was over, and everyone was like, "Bro, where have you
just
been?"
Did a gnarly ass trick that was like in 4-1. Did you know you were in 4-1?
Yeah. And I think I had just started to get boards from Aesthetics, so it was like. Start getting boards from like the company I dreamed about skating for, and then just don't skate for like 4 months, 5 months, and don't say anything. I remember I pulled back up to Love. This is some funny shit.
What is that?
A singlet.
Singlet. Okay.
Hadn't skated in 4 or 5 months. I pull up on this Clyde bling bling board with a set. Tensors had just came out.
Ooh, and they were with the thing on the truck, the sliding pad.
I had full like vacation legs. And like on some tensors, and they were like, "Bro, we're like," and I'm barely doing they're like, "Don't say nothing to Jimmy." Like, where you been at, bro? But
it's so funny how like tensors weren't necessarily the coolest on the West Coast at all. I had a pair of tensors too, by the way, but I can imagine tensors on the East Coast
with that little orange thing on the base plate, like
not being on the East Coast.
It was funny though, but it was less about tensors. It's more just me just showing back up, just totally out of pocket and out of sorts. But slowly I got like back on my feet, and then just all right. I've got nothing else to focus on now, but like school, which I went to Temple just to skate Love.
That's crazy. You went to college, bro. Like there's only a handful of people. Or skaters that I know that really did follow that and skated. Walker Ryan was probably the most impressive one. I would say Mark Suchu probably too. Yeah. But Walker would go, I lived with him, and he would go to UCSD, go to all those classes, do his homework, write essays, do all that stuff, and then go get film video parts at his school. Like unreal footage. And I was like just living in San Diego. I wasn't doing anything except for skating. And he would just be cranking out clips. But I always look back, I'm like, is it because you're working so hard somewhere else that it makes you want to go do something you love?
Maybe
harder?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like to go outside of it and push harder.
I think I always liked back in the day having other things to do outside of skate, just so so you didn't get burnt out. Even like, the kids that you're skating with, you guys don't get burnt out being together all the time. Like I'd get done skating a lot of times, maybe go hang with kids that like I grew up with or something, and then come back downtown the next day. It definitely gave me like a nice little balance. But Temple had a lot of skaters, I think, like even way before my generation, a lot of love skaters would go to Temple. So it was like, it was right there. So it was like, all right, you just get on the train and then you get off the train and you're at Love, or you're at, one line. So
didn't Jack Sabat go there?
Me and Jack Sabat started I believe we were the same year. Yeah, I remember when Jack showed up and being like, yo, who the fuck is this guy's really, really good, you know?
Jack was sick. He was very unique.
Yeah.
I remember I always tripped out just because
he got better with age too, man, like his skating.
But he had you're like, Jack Sabat? What a name, I know, dude. I was like, that's a name right there. That was sick.
If I'm not mistaken, he was at Temple on a full academic scholarship too. Yeah. Jack's very smart. Yeah.
Super smart. That dude is funny as hell, but he is a smart dude too.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is like looking back at sport stuff, because I was in the same thing. I played basketball, baseball, football all in high school, and I remember when I quit to skate, my mom was and my friends were super bummed too.
Yeah,
like, because it's like, it's not only just about you doing something like that, like it's also about like, because now you're taking them away from what you're doing too. You know what I mean?
No, 1000%.
I think my mom, I love my mom, and she's the best. She literally is the best person. She's like she is my best friend basically. But I think it was so hard for parents back then. If someone wanted to pursue skateboarding, it was hard for them to understand what that meant.
Yeah.
That was, now parents have that idea. It's in the Olympics, which we're about to see in a couple days. It's like,
but everything, you going to the game as a family, going to, you know what I'm saying, going to the tournament,
practice and all this stuff, hanging out. Like, she's like, what do I do? Like, I go to the skate park with you? Like, I'm not going to. Like,
they're part of the support process in practice and everything. And then it all culminates in them getting to attend that game or that match or whatever. Yeah. So I remember my high school coach, who I still talk to this day, was like, bro, you're letting your community down.
Wow.
Like, and I was like, fuck, that is a heavy burden to leave me with. And till this day, he contacted me years later and was like, Jimmy, I have your poster on my wall in my office, I still, when he like you said, the Eagles Project, he was one of the first people to hit me, 20 some years later. He just inducted me into like my high school Hall of Fame.
Oh yeah, that's tight.
And dude, I remember this guy riding me, but I can't speak for other sports. The things that he taught me as a coach, the values and the work ethic and the discipline, like everything that guy showed me in high school, I carried with me still to this day, so they used to give it to me for being a wrestler too. It's called Jimmy the Jock, Jimmy the Greek.
Who, the skaters?
This is skaters, yeah.
But that was
like,
dude,
nice little singlet you're like got on,
But
like,
I think that was, I did the same thing, dude, because when I had decided to quit, dude, I was a starting wide receiver.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
damn.
I was starting center fielder. I was
So
lead off batter.
Full blown jock.
I was
too.
jock, dude.
Yeah.
I think my favorite, to be honest, was basketball, but I was sixth man in basketball.
All right.
So, but I was like, damn, like I don't know. I felt like I was better at the other sports, but I liked basketball the most, and I was doing all that while skating.
Yeah.
I remember like playing those sports and being so close with like all my friends, because all the friends I grew up with were all like the starting quarterback or running back or whatever. So we're all on this together in this. and they all knew I loved skating. I skated with them when I was kids. Then we all grew up, and I'm like, yo, I'm done, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go skate. And they were like, what?
Yeah.
What does that mean, dude?
Because Laguna's still like a very kind of small town too.
Laguna
right?
Hills is it's pretty big. Southern California down there. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Gotcha.
And sports are very heavy at just like any school you go to, I guess. Sports are pretty heavy. Skateboarding was just not something that was like cool to go do.
Yeah.
You know? So I there was a hard time for me, just like you, where especially in my senior year when I finally got an expedition, but my friends that I played football with, they were all partying and like, dude, you're a skater, dude.
Yeah.
And then the skaters thought I was a jock. So I was like stuck in between these two people.
One or the other. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I really and then I ended up just kind of hanging out with like a couple friends that I was friends with everyone there, but I was like, these the only people that just like me for who I am.
Yeah.
And they came it was like a couple homies, this couple girls, and we're just friends, not because I played sports, not because I skated, just because we were just hang out. And I think that was tough for me is looking back. I was like, damn, I just kind of got like skateboarding wasn't cool, and being not a part of the high school at that point was like, I didn't really care at the point. That's all I wanted to skate.
Yeah.
I really just wanted to skate. So I didn't really care, but it was weird to like look back at that.
That's what I really enjoy about this generation of kids and the kids that have kind of come up behind them, where it's like everything seems a lot more inclusive. And I get the older generations where skating particularly was this thing that was special to us as this like niche group. But with that came, I didn't mind coming up that way. The tough love and stuff that was a part of like the circles back then. But as I look forward, it's like I don't know how healthy that was, and I love how these kids nowadays these kids embrace everybody and everything, and I don't know. I like especially having a kid now. It's like I would prefer her being able to meet friends that are more accepting the way that they are nowadays than necessarily maybe how I came up, because it was tough, it's like, but
you grew up in a way different environment than I did, I'm assuming. You know what I mean?
I think the East Coast, like even skating to like even non-skaters, it just was like things were a little bit more conformist back then. And like you said, if you weren't that, then you were this. And, it made it difficult for you to find your place in the world. And whereas these kids now, it's like they can like a little of this, they can be into a little of that without feeling so judged or pressured,
Well, yeah, I think
maybe
no,
maybe,
dude, like for sure, I'm happy that it's like that now, dude. Like, dude, people, it was like either this or that, and like
Granted,
if you don't do that, then you're.
We didn't have social media and stuff either, too, so maybe we'd have been nutbags back then just with social media.
Dude, I came with kids at school at social media and stuff.
Yeah, so
I was tripping. I'm like, damn, I always trip out like because I love your family that you have, just like with you, Devin, and Amelia. Like, I'm like, you guys hang out. I could tell how much love there is with her, and I'm like, I hope his daughter knows how cool he is.
Man,
like, you know what I mean? No, because because I love my parents to death, but there was a huge like misunderstanding of like the way, not misunderstanding. It's just we grew up such different ways.
Yeah,
and like there, you know what I mean? Like it, and we growing through like when I was a kid. We were on such different, like I was like a kid that skated and they like could not understand that. And so you being a skateboarder going through all that and then seeing what's going on now with kids, I was like, damn, that's pretty sick that you've seen a part of the social media era to skateboarding to going and wrestling to all that stuff. So it's
fun to expose her to different things. It's also it's a learning process too, is just understanding what type of person that I need to be for her as she gets older and matures. And it helps me work on myself and become the type of father I think that she needs. And at the end of the day, it's like just exposing her to interesting shit. Like, dude, right now she's literally on her guitar all day,
Oh,
every day,
sick.
like teaching herself. I'm like, yo, we can go. I have friends that play the guitar. There's a spot right down the street. They can get guitar lessons. And she's like, nah, I just like figuring this out on my own. 2 in the morning the other night, I'm sleeping. I'm like, is she playing a fucking guitar right now? And it's like, yo, you can't even get mad. You know, like we were skating in the driveway,
Dude, that same
like
shit,
grinding,
yeah.
like the water pipe that came out of the house at like 11 o'clock on like a Friday night, you know? So it's
Dude.
like, it's stuff like that. That's interesting. Like, you know.
And I was tripping too when we judged the last San Diego stop when we were down in for Street League. I remember you sitting there and you told who was DJing?
Why am I forgetting his name? Triggs or Trails?
I'm sorry, I forget, but I don't know. You were like, "Hey, can you play what's it called?
Like a G6."
Like a G6.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying that and just being like me and you just staring there watching Devin in the video.
They could see him right there.
Just seeing him like, oh, that's a crazy moment. Like, I wonder what that's like for Devin, just to hear her song come out, even though she's probably used to it by now, obviously. But then like her daughter being like, and then her dad's judging the contest.
Laughing.
Yeah, we're just like looking, laughing, and we're just like, dude, it's so sick, dude. I thought that was really tight.
It is fun. I'm psyched on, I feel very grateful for like the circuit that we have, you know, in our relationship and the way, you know, we're like a little pod and we kick it together and stuff. So
she films you skate sometimes
every now and again. Yeah. I make them both. So don't mess. I took them skating last night and they've been sitting in the car and I'm sitting there. I learned nollie front noses.
Yeah.
And they're in the car like, hurry up. And I'm like, I already got one. Just let me slide it longer. And Emil's like, Dad, I gotta pee. And I'm like, fuck, all right, we gotta go. Shit. And I'm like, next time, don't come if you gotta go to the bathroom. Dad's learning tricks. Yeah, but
that's funny when you get that, you learn that new trick and you do it like the way you want to do it.
Oh man, I felt like,
and you're like, dude, there's no feeling like that. There really is. Like I said, I had these crazy injuries with my hips. My hips are like messed up, dude. Like it hurts when I skate. Especially I love flat ground. Like tre-flips don't hurt, which is thank God. But a kick flip, a nollie flip, backside flip, anything like that, front heel, it hurts.
Oh,
like
get out of here. I never knew that, man.
Yeah, that's why I don't skate that much anymore. Like I try and it's like crazy pain. But I have this thing called hip impingement. And so like my range of motion is just shot.
No way.
I had to get surgery on this one. This one, the doctor was like, oh yeah, that one's super messed up too.
Damn,
but
yeah.
And like that's just repetition of me skating flat ground for 20 plus years.
Damn.
Every single day, all the time. I looked at like the way that I do switch lips. I remember like people kind of like not make fun of me, but I had like a little way of when I do switch flips.
Yeah.
I use my toe a lot and my foot's kind of my hips kind of angled. So I just use my toe, but on the regular kick flips, I use a lot of the side of your foot, and it's like a more of like a normal looking kick flip, I guess. So the switch one, it's just the way that it would move that after doing that for 20 years, it just wore out.
That's so interesting. I never knew that this whole time.
And you don't think about that stuff. And like, you just realize, you think that when you're a kid, you're just kind of like, I'm unstoppable. I can keep doing this the rest of my life. And then one day, I remember the day, like, or I remember the time when I was skating flat ground at Stoner and like, I was like, oh, whoa. That was not, I didn't feel right. I didn't fall. I just like didn't land the trick.
Yeah.
I was doing a caballerial flip on flat ground and I was like, whoa, that felt weird. And then it never felt the same again. And then thank God for these podcasts, like just doing a podcast. We had Mikey Taylor on the show and he basically, I found out I had the same thing as him and I had to get surgery. And then that's kind of when, the doctor was like, yeah, you're not going to be able to move the same anymore.
Yeah.
It's like your hips are really have this, you don't have a wide, it's like bone on bone.
Yeah.
You did too much work on yourself this whole year.
Damn, yeah.
But all good. Just like, I was going to say is that like the other day I was skating with 9 Club dudes at the curbs and I was just doing kick flips and I was just like, you know what, dude? It still feels good to like, it hurts, but when I land one good and it feels good, I'm like, it still feels like the best feeling ever. So sometimes I don't even have to do a new trick. It's just like doing that trick, you know, like it's like you doing a Vero heel flip.
Yeah.
It's like you can do that trick and you're like, that felt good.
You're able to still work out and still maintain like physical exercise, but skate, the act of skating, the technique of it, that's what
it's super tough.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just because of like moving my leg that way.
Gotcha.
On this, especially this one, like it just stops and it hurts. Right.
I mean, there's not much. I mean, what, like if you're like doing karate or like kickboxing or something, you know, like MMA, it's like maybe jujitsu, but there's not many things that make you extend out to the side the way that skateboarding does.
Is there anything else other than that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I didn't know. I mean, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
I've like fallen a bunch and hurt myself, but it was really frustrating to not know what it was.
Yeah.
It was like one day it just was messed up. I was like, what? I don't get it. I was on a roll.
Yeah.
Like I felt good. And then it's all good. It was right exactly when I started doing 9 Club. So like my physical skating kind of went out the window, but then the mental part of it and like social part really came in.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a perfect time.
I
don't know how that happened.
Life, as I get older, I learned there's no such thing as coincidences, man. And these things in your life align and land where they may be for some odd reason. So, but you guys obviously 8 years in on a 9 Club.
8 years in, yeah.
Back with LRG. Still working with S.
With S, yeah.
You know, like, I mean, S is obviously such a special brand. And like you said, Don and Pierre, those guys and what they've contributed to skateboarding, to be able to continue that legacy on is incredible. All the contest work that you continue to do.
Yeah, I'm stoked to do that with you. And then what else? Oh, I help Mike Mo with ABD stuff too.
Yeah. I mean, you got a million different endeavors.
I'm stoked, dude. I remember when I had nothing going on, so I'm kind of one of those yes men.
Yeah.
If I get opportunity, if something that I enjoy, like I have that, like, yes, I want to do it.
Yeah.
Like the cross rope thing. Like I wasn't looking for working with a jump rope company. I just got really into that product and I like it.
And I mean, it's what you do too.
Yeah.
It's like, so to have a brand that exists within that space that you actually utilize this stuff is like, this is what I tell people too, is like, these opportunities come your way. So, you know, maybe the budget's not the best, or maybe there's no budget, but it's just one more thing for you to keep building off of, because that little job could turn into something huge. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, I know we've been going for a minute here, and I really appreciate. It's like I said, it's like therapy. But when I look back at I remember when I first got the job at Soltech, what they offered me, and I think it was like $40,000 a year. I started crying. I was so happy, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like just to be able to get like opportunity to work at something that I love that would like help, like I could live off that at that point, you know? But then it kind of blossomed from there to like just putting in work and kind of just loving it, and this kind of just doing things that you want to do rather than going down paths you don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's kind of what I've been happy to
man.
do.
That's a blessing in itself, man. So yeah, like you said, all of this stuff is like therapeutic.
Yeah, because you look back, you're like, damn, forgot. Yeah, this happened, that happened. So
all right, so we'll wrap it up. All right. Favorite, let me ask you 3 questions. Favorite video.
Damn, dude. I have like 3 on the top of my head.
All right,
can I give you 3?
All right,
because they're like so all monumental to me, super hard. Mouse, Trilogy, and I always have the hardest time saying this. Photosynthesis.
There you go.
Like those 3 videos, like shaped. If you watch those videos if you're gonna look at my skating, like what I tried to replicate was pretty much all of that into one. And I'm not saying I skate like those guys, but you could look and be like, oh, he likes doing flip tricks. He likes skating ledges. He likes doing manuals. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then like a little bit of stairs or whatever. So I think that's kind of wild.
All right, favorite video part.
I think I watched Brian Wenning's photo part probably the most.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I've watched that part probably the most.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And and then last one, favorite skater. Is it Brian too?
I have a mixture. I think Brian's the most influential of me. And then there's too many to name, but Costin always stands out.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot. But yeah,
I got it. I sent out the bird call to Costin earlier this season to get him on here. So
dude, I hope he
I gotta get
does.
him on here. Yeah,
You know what I hope? I hope he comes on here and he comes on the
Frosty.
9 Club.
Oh, he's never been on there?
Yeah,
All
never
right.
been on 9 Club.
I know I reached out to Scott Johnson and Javier Nunez, and they both told me they couldn't come on here until they come on your guys' show. I respect that. That's cool.
No, that's awesome. You know
I mean,
is,
you guys are the OG. You guys are not even say are now, but like you got it. It's an awesome cadence for people to go to you guys. You know, because you guys are for one, you're the probably the biggest platform. For two, seeing it through the lens of yourself, Roger, Jerron, and Chris is like so appropriate. So yeah, I mean, you guys have a special thing, yo.
Thanks,
I'm
man.
really psyched for y'all.
Thanks, dude. I think it's been one of the funnest things I've ever done in my life, but I always so trip because I think a lot of the OGs that we want to have on the show and the ones we've had on the show, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter, to be honest. I feel like for a skateboarder that's such legacy, sometimes they get nervous to come on a show and talk about everything because they're not used to talking about everything in public sometimes. So I feel like it's interesting, right? Because like how many Chico came on the show and he was like super nervous, but then once you get like 5 minutes in, you forget about everything.
Yeah.
So it's pretty.
You guys have a way of getting these stories out and getting these guys to share like emotions or just certain periods in their life that like I certainly couldn't do. You know, like the way that Chris has a particular approach, Jerron has a particular approach. You bring out a certain something in the guest, Roger too. It's like that's a unique formula and system that you guys have set up, which is why it comes off the way it does when you get to hear someone like a Joey Surreal or I like Clyde's a lot too. I like that you guys added Clyde to the live show too.
Well, Clyde has a very great way and funny way of looking at skateboarding and what's going on.
Dude, for one, I don't know how the amount of archive like files he's able to find and the way he repurposes them is like, to me, it's incredible. He's like you guys in a lot of senses where you guys, I don't know, just certain individuals that you guys bring on that he brings in. I don't know. I don't know if it just speaks to like the level of the kind of skating that we like. Yeah. There's also, I get a lot of, for him, especially from his, a lot of history, like shit that I never, and people, and things that I never knew.
I trip out on his knowledge because I grew up watching him so much, like in like 4-in-1s, aesthetic video, all that stuff, and to hear him talking about the really old skating that came before, way before I knew about skateboarding, I was like, damn, he knows almost everything and teaching people.
Clyde's a full like skate encyclopedia, but again, I think it goes back to, it's just like that, like you were saying, that shared love that we all have for this. You know what I'm saying? And that's why it's like, even, Clyde's professional careers, like all these years later, he's able to circle back and create this platform with his stuff. It's like, I don't know. It just creates these unique places for people that are just in love with skating to go. And
I think, most important thing for me, or looking at the podcasts that are going on right now, like you got the Bunt, you obviously have 9 Club Bunt, the Bomb Hole, this podcast, like you said, Clyde's. Man, what else is there? We're trying to think of like all the ones but all it's meant for is to help and bring attention to the importance and like the history of skateboarding. Yeah. That's all it's meant for. Like there's no gimmick at anything. Yeah. You know what I mean?
There's obviously a skateboard hall of fame, but like, there, especially for like us older cats, it's like once you get past a certain point, it's like there's not a lot of things that still recognize people that made contributions. And for me, it's like the people and things that left an impact on me, they're always going to be important. You know what I'm saying? I always want to wave the flag for them. And I think that's what you do. That's what Clyde does. That's what, a lot of these platforms do. So, it's important, man. It's needed.
Yeah. So.
All right, well, shit, I'll let you get back to the West Side, Kelly.
Thanks for having me.
I gotta get you a box right now because I keep promising you one. And I will see you in Sydney for Street League in September or October.
Is Dave coming?
Dave's not coming.
No?
Nah, this is just a boys' trip. Thank you, man. Thank you, Kelly.